It's never easy to talk about, but knowing when a loved one may be entering their final year of life is one of the most compassionate things you can understand. The truth is, most elderly people don't pass away suddenly. The body whispers long before it stops. It sends small, subtle signals, physically, emotionally, and mentally, that something deeper is shifting. The biggest tragedy? Most families miss these signs. They brush them off as just old age, or believe the decline will be temporary. But the body is wiser than we realize. And when certain patterns emerge, especially after the age of 75, they often signal the beginning of the end, unless intervention or care changes course. So, if you love someone who's getting older, or if you yourself are noticing these changes, this video is for you. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because awareness allows for better care, deeper connection, and often a more peaceful transition. Let's begin with the first major sign that a person may be in their final year. 1. Sudden, unexplained weight loss. This isn't about dieting or forgetting a few meals. This is the kind of weight loss that happens gradually, quietly, and with no real effort. Clothes start getting looser. Arms and legs look thinner. The face begins to look more hollow. Why does this happen? The body starts burning through reserves. Appetite diminishes. The digestive system slows down. Even with normal food intake, nutrients may not be absorbed well anymore. In medical terms, this is often a sign of cachexia, a wasting syndrome commonly seen in chronic illness and the aging process near the end. And it's serious. Studies show that unexplained weight loss in elderly patients, especially over a short period, is strongly linked to a higher risk of mortality within 6 to 12 months. Let me tell you about Margaret, an 84-year-old grandmother from Arizona. Her family noticed she'd lost weight over a few months, but didn't think much of it. She still got around, still laughed at jokes, still made Sunday lunch. But by the time they brought her in for a full evaluation, her body was already shutting down. Her liver was failing. She passed away 4 months later. Her family wishes someone had told them, weight loss in the elderly isn't always harmless. The moment you notice loose clothing, visible bones, or lost interest in eating, it's time to ask why. Now let's look at the second subtle but serious indicator. 2. Withdrawal from social interaction. There's a profound change that often occurs in someone nearing their final year. They begin to pull away from the world. Maybe they stop calling friends. Maybe they decline invitations or avoid family gatherings. They sit quietly even in the company of others. It's not always sadness or depression. Splash. It's often something deeper, a quiet preparation. This psychological withdrawal is one of the body and brain's ways of beginning to let go. It's almost instinctual. The person may become less interested in worldly events, conversations, or even favorite hobbies. They turn inward. They begin to conserve energy, emotionally and physically. This doesn't mean you should force them to be social, but it does mean you should stay close. Be present. Allow silence. Offer gentle presence without pressure. These moments matter more than words. I remember one patient named Harold, a retired postmaster who always told stories at the VA center. One day he just stopped. No more storytelling. No more jokes. He still smiled, but his voice became softer. His eyes more distant. He passed within 11 months. The nurses said they often see this quiet detachment in those whose time is nearing. When a once social person begins consistently withdrawing, especially with no clear reason, take note. It could be their spirit is beginning to prepare long before the body does. The body begins to slow. Mobility and sleep decline as silent warnings. In the final year of life, the body doesn't usually scream, it whispers. And in those whispers, movement and rest become deeply revealing. Let's explore 2 more signs that often appear when an elderly person is entering the last phase of their life. These signs are so common, they're often dismissed as just getting older. But if you pay close attention, you'll understand they're far more than that. 3. Noticeable decline in mobility or coordination. One of the strongest indicators of decline is a sudden change in the way someone moves. You may see shuffling feet instead of confident steps, more frequent use of walls, chairs, or furniture for support, trouble rising from a chair, slower movement when getting out of bed. These changes can be due to muscle loss, nerve degeneration, or even reduced brain-to-body communication. But when they appear together, and rapidly over a few weeks or months, they often suggest more than just aging. They point toward a body preparing for final slowdown. Falls become more frequent. Legs seem weaker. Even reaching for things becomes an effort. This physical slowing is more than mechanical. It reflects reduced cellular energy, loss of coordination, and growing fatigue from the inside out. Take Robert, age 85. He was always spry, the kind of man who walked without a cane and carried his own groceries. Then over 6 months, he started grabbing the railings, started sitting more. Then came the walker. His doctor noticed the changes and said gently to the family, "Let's prepare." Robert passed 9 months later. His movement had been the first and clearest sign. If you or someone you love is moving less, slower, or more cautiously than usual, don't ignore it. It could be the body quietly retreating from activity as it shifts into energy preservation mode. 4. Changes in sleep patterns. Sleep is sacred, especially in late life. But when someone starts sleeping significantly more or struggling with sleep altogether, it can be a key sign that their body is nearing the end. Here's what to look for: sleeping 14 to 16 hours a day or more, falling asleep during conversations, waking frequently but seeming confused or agitated, unusual restlessness at night, known as terminal agitation. While occasional poor sleep isn't alarming, sustained changes in sleep cycles can mean the brain is having difficulty maintaining regular rhythms. It may also signal reduced oxygen flow, early metabolic shutdown, or nervous system fatigue. In hospice care, nurses are trained to watch sleep patterns closely because changes often signal the final stages have begun. I once worked with a patient named Irene. She was 90, witty, and always up by 7 a.m. But then she started waking at noon, then sleeping through visits, then dozing off mid-sentence. Her sleep became erratic, unpredictable. Within a few weeks, her body followed. She passed quietly one evening in her favorite chair. If sleep changes begin to disrupt normal patterns, especially if accompanied by confusion, loss of appetite, or fatigue, it may be time to talk about end-of-life planning. But remember, awareness does not mean giving up hope. It means giving more love, clarity, and comfort during the moments that matter most. Sometimes, it's not the body, but the voice that changes first, or the eyes, or the way someone speaks when no one's asking anything at all. These emotional and cognitive signals are among the most misunderstood signs that an elderly person may be entering their final year. Yet, they can be some of the most powerful. Let's continue with the 5th and final sign. 5. Changes in language, focus, and emotional energy. People nearing the end of life often begin to speak differently. They might talk more frequently about the past, bring up people who've passed away as if they're near, speak in metaphors like, "I think it's time to go home," or "I'm ready for a long rest," appear to see or hear things others can't, drift in and out of conversation, like their focus is elsewhere. This doesn't always indicate dementia. In many cases, it's something more spiritual, more internal. There's a term in palliative care called nearing death awareness. It refers to a psychological and spiritual process where the individual begins to detach from the physical world and attune to something beyond. These aren't hallucinations in the clinical sense. They're part of a peaceful transition, one where the soul is getting ready to let go. Take Lorraine, 88. Her daughter told us she'd begun talking to her late husband in the middle of the night, whispering softly, smiling at empty corners of the room. At first, the family was afraid she was confused, but her eyes were clear. Her mood was calm. She said, "Don't worry, I'm not afraid. I just know I won't be here much longer." She passed away 2 months later in her sleep. These shifts in awareness are a deep reminder that dying is not just a medical process. It's emotional, relational, even spiritual. Listening becomes more important than speaking. Presence becomes more important than fixing. In addition to changes in speech and focus, there's often an emotional shift. Many people become more peaceful or reconciliatory, less interested in material things, focused on gratitude, forgiveness, or making amends. They may suddenly want to talk to a long-lost friend or write a note to someone from decades ago. These emotional releases are deeply meaningful. They help the person feel complete, whole, ready. That's why if you sense this shift in someone you love, don't ignore it. Lean into it. Ask what they're feeling. Listen to their stories. Help them connect with people they mention. Offer reassurance, not redirection. You may never have a more important conversation in your life than the ones that happen during this final transition. Recognizing that a loved one may be in their final year of life is painful, but it's also powerful. Because when you see the signs, unexplained weight loss, withdrawal from social life, physical slowing, deepening sleep, emotional shifts, you're not helpless, you're informed. And that knowledge allows you to bring comfort, clarity, and even joy into what may be their most sacred year. So let's talk about how to respond, not with panic, but with purpose. First, stop denying the signs. Many families, even loving ones, slip into denial. They say, "She'll bounce back soon. He's just tired lately. Mom always loved her naps." While hope is important, denial can delay meaningful care. It can rob your loved one of the opportunity to have important conversations, receive proper comfort, or make peace with their life. Instead, start acknowledging what you see. "I've noticed you're sleeping more lately. How are you feeling? You've been quieter these days. Is anything on your heart? You seem a bit more tired. Do you want help with meals or errands?" Opening these conversations doesn't mean giving up. It means showing up. Second, focus on comfort, not cure. In the final year, the goal shifts from fixing everything to making everything feel better. You may not be able to reverse the decline, but you can soften it. That means keeping them warm, clean, and well-fed, supporting routines that bring them peace, music, prayer, nature, allowing rest without guilt, avoiding unnecessary hospital visits unless they truly improve quality of life. Hospice care isn't about dying. It's about living with dignity and minimal suffering. Even without enrolling in formal hospice, families can still adopt that mindset. How can we make today gentle, clear, and meaningful? Third, have the conversations that matter. If you suspect your loved one is nearing the end, talk. Don't wait for a better time. Ask them, what do you want your final months to look like? Is there anything you want to say to someone? Are there things you wish you had done? What brings you peace? This isn't morbid, it's sacred. Many people feel a huge sense of relief when they're finally allowed to speak freely about their feelings, fears, or wishes. One daughter I worked with told me, "After that talk, I stopped feeling scared. I started feeling honored." Fourth, care for yourself too. Supporting someone through their final year can be exhausting, emotionally, physically, spiritually. But you can't pour from an empty cup. Make time for sleep, walks, your own meals, emotional outlets, journaling, counseling, prayer. You are not selfish for taking care of your needs. You're being wise, and your loved one would want that for you. Finally, say what must be said. The final year is your chance to say, "I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'll be okay." These aren't just words. They're healing medicine for you and for them. Whether your loved one passes in a year or surprises everyone and lives for 5 more, recognizing these signs early allows you to make their time richer, deeper, and more intentional. So if you see the signs, don't run from them. Stand with them, sit beside them, hold their hand, and walk with them. Not toward the end, but toward a peace that lasts longer than time. Because in the end, it's not about how long we live. It's about how well we love. Thank you for watching this important video. If it helped you, please share it with someone else who may need it. And subscribe for more honest, compassionate insights to help you through aging, caregiving, and living wisely, one day at a time.